Hello, my name is Katrina Shafani. I'm the Director of Sales in the Midwest region for Cordova Safety Products. I've been asked today to go over and help give you some extra insight and reinforce what you probably already know, and then hopefully teach you a few other things that will help you in your job as far as high performance gloves are concerned. When you look at the high performance gloves, you need to realize that you're trying to protect your hand. And I know we sort of take our hands for granted sometimes, and your workers are extremely important in constantly using their hands, but you'll notice that you're trying to protect 4 fingers, 29 bones, 48 nerves, and 34 muscles. And when you stop and take a moment just to consider that and take it all in, you realize the importance of the hand protection. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over different coatings with you. We're going to start with the different coatings so you can learn about that, which will help you possibly understand what you might want to try for a certain application on a glove. And then after that, we'll go and discuss the fibers and that type of stuff for you, and hopefully you'll bring some value to your selection. First, we're going to start off with latex or natural rubber. It'll be referred to in both ways. And this right here just sort of shows you, it's amazing that actually the rubber does come from a tree, from a rubber tree, and it takes 75% of the world's rubber are used for tires, and it takes a month's worth of latex for 4 trees just to make 1 tire. So if anything you'll learn today, you'll learn that it's take a little bit more appreciation for your tires that you have. But the nice thing about having a latex coated cut resistant glove is that you don't have to worry about any kind of allergies to latex, which is wonderful. It is waterproof. You can use this in a dry or a wet surface. It gives you a lot of grip, which is very important. It's also both bulkier than the other coatings that you're going to deal with. So it makes it very strong. It is flexible. You just lose that dexterity that you might have with some other options because of the latex being thicker, but it also can withstand some vibration. So if you're needing a real heavy duty type glove and dexterity is not the most important thing, and especially if you're in a wet condition, natural latex would be a good option for you to consider for your cut resistant glove. This right here are just a couple of options of our vast line that we have. You can get them in different types of colors as far as the yarns on the gloves themselves. But this right here, the machinist line, is, you'll notice I'll have different pictures of this. This is my favorite go-to line just because of the comfort of the glove. It gives you a strong A4 cut resistant glove, gives you, in this case, an A5 on abrasion. But the nice thing about this glove, it's very comfortable and it holds up very well. You'll also notice that I have another picture of a high-vis type glove, and it's an A6 rating. But this just gives you a couple of examples of gloves that we have available to you with the natural rubber. You're going to use polyurethane if you're needing to have a lot of dexterity and sensitivity to the touch. This right here is going to be someone who's dealing, like you'll see the pictures here, like on a panel or just small parts, and maybe you need a lot of dexterity. Maybe you're using a pen and you need to be able to write very easily. It also, it's very good if you dry, oil, or wet grip. Whatever that application may be, it's breathable and it's very flexible. So you do get that dexterity along with the flexibility on the hand. It is a porous, so solvents could go through it. So you need to be careful as far as what you're actually working with when you're dealing with this glove. But polyurethane gloves, they'll refer to them as a PU coated glove. Just the big selling feature of that is just the dexterity and the flexibility that you have available to you. Right here are a couple examples that I want you to look at. This one right here, the 3716G. This is a lower end as far as the cut rating. It's an ANSI 2 rated glove. This glove is great because the price point is very inexpensive for this glove, but yet you get a lot of value with it. So you're finding now in the marketplace, people are moving away from a string knit or a brown jersey or a cotton canvas, and even some of your leather palms. And what they're going to would be a glove like this. So they don't really truly need a cut resistant glove, but they need some type of hand protection. And the nice thing about this glove over the other ones I mentioned is that you don't have, like on a string knit, how the glove will roll and not always stay directly on your hand. You have more flexibility and more strength if you've got this glove. And think also how much more aggressive your worker is going to be knowing that their hand is protected, and when they're going into grab that box or that case or whatever they need to get, when they know they've got cut protection available to them. But really the biggest selling feature of this is going to be your dexterity that you have. You've got cut protection along with just a nice all-purpose work glove. And that PU coating offers you that ability and flexibility. You also got the PU coated gloves. I've got a picture here once again in the machinist line, and this gives you a A4 cut rating, and also gives you an A5 abrasion. So you've got a lot of different levels that you can go higher than this also with the PU coated glove. So it just depends on the application and what you're dealing with. These pictures, I did make them sort of both the same color, but you'll notice that this is called a salt and pepper shell. So you hear somebody talk about that, it will say it's speckled. This is really traditionally going to be considered like a gray shell. You can also get these in high vis colors or in a white, just depending on the application. But the most popular that you will find will be this salt and pepper shell or a gray shell. And the reason for that, it hides dirt. It's just an all-purpose color that you'll see the workers have. Another coating that's very important and really probably the most commonly used would be the PU and the nitrile. The nitrile coating, you have a lot of options available to you. And what you're going to find normally on your cut resistant gloves are going to be a sandy or a foam nitrile. And on the sandy nitrile, it gives you a little bit more texture. It's a little rougher as far as the feel of the glove. And the nice thing about that, it gives you that little extra grip that you might need for the application. And so with the sandy nitrile, you've got a little bit more abrasion. The foam nitrile is great because it's spongy is not quite the most technical word to use for it, but it's very soft and gives you a little spongy type feel. So when the worker's wearing it, it's going to be soft in their hand, and they're going to want to, work. It's going to offer comfort. It's also going to offer the protection that they need. So that's the normal types of things that you're going to see as far as cut resistant gloves. You're going to have the sandy nitrile and you're going to have the foam nitrile available to you. On other style gloves, you'll find like a flat nitrile, but that's not traditionally something that you will see on a cut resistant glove. This right here is a sandy nitrile glove. It's sort of hard to tell in the photo, but you'll be able to tell it's got a little texture to it. And you'll also notice, and this is some features that you can have on certain gloves, you have that black coating in the thumb crotch area, and that right there just gives you that extra wear and tear protection that you might need. So you're going to use a sandy nitrile if you're needing a little bit more abrasion, and that just gives you a little bit additional protection right there. This right here is a picture of a foam nitrile glove. Sort of hard to tell with the black, but it's just going to be, like I said, a sort of a spongy, softer texture to the glove. You'll notice that this one's a 3/4 back. You also have where they're fully dipped. We have a line of gloves that have fully dipped on it, and it's going to also have like the winter liner and also the TPR, which we'll go over in just a second. But this glove right here offers you a lot of splash protection. Because one thing you have to worry about if you're in the plant, if there is a lot of oil involved in the plant and the applications, there's a possibility that it can get on the back of the hand, like right here, and it will connect to the yarns themselves, and it can get in the glove. So if you have a problem with that in the plants, that possibly the adhesives or whatever they're using is getting on their hands and they're wearing a cut resistant glove and that's needed for the application, you would want to consider doing a fully coated cut resistant glove to help prevent that. I'm going to go over some of the different fibers that you have. Everybody's probably very familiar with Kevlar. It's been around for a long time. It's a great product. And now you'll also hear people talk about the Aramid fibers. These are usually a knitted product, and it's a yarn, and you're going to have gloves that are actually sewn with Kevlar or sewn with Aramid, and that's just because it makes it stronger. Like when you're dealing with a leather palm glove, it might be sewn with Kevlar or Aramid, and that just makes the stitching that much stronger. So if you can make the stitching that much stronger, just see what you can do here as far as the glove is concerned. You'll see that it's 5 times stronger than steel on an equal weight basis. So that right there is very impressive. Kevlar will not burn, which is very nice also. So you'll hear people refer to Kevlar because they're around a lot of heat, but there are other options available to you, but that really is the strongest selling feature of Kevlar right now. You don't see, or I don't sell as much of the Kevlar yarn as I used to do, because now there's so many other options available out there in the market, and these gloves they still have a value in the marketplace, but it's just not as common that you use these gloves in the market any longer. Right here, you'll notice 3080, which is just a plain knitted Kevlar glove. This right here gives you a nice A4 rating. A lot of times you might find someone who needs to have a chemical resistant glove. They may be a PVC glove or a neoprene glove, or even possibly a butyl glove. And what they can do if they need the cut resistant protection available to them also, they will put this glove as a liner to protect their hand. And so that way, when the outer glove, which is going to be, get more abuse and wear, it can be discarded, and then they can still have this cut protection glove that can be laundered, and they can still use it inside another glove for another work day. You will also find coatings on the Kevlar and the Aramid fibers. And this right here just shows you that even though we have moved to cut resistant gloves, and they actually have started replacing a lot of the leather palm gloves, you will still see for some applications for heavy abrasion that you may have the need to have Kevlar with leather on the palm. And so this just gives you a nice example. Obviously, you don't have the dexterity with these gloves that you normally would have with some of the other options, such as the PU coated gloves or with some of the nitrile gloves, but they do have a place in the market. Very strong gloves out there. Another big thing that a lot of times came out of, a number of years ago, you started seeing the thermoplastic rubber option. And with these gloves, it was always considered, oh, it's only for oil and gas industry. Well, these gloves have come a long way, and they've also come a long way as far as their flexibility, and also in the mindset of people who have them on the construction sites, in the factories, even someone pulling orders. If you look at these are just 2 different options right here. You'll see cut-resistant gloves will actually now incorporate the thermoplastic rubber. And the one on the left-hand side, this is a beautiful glove and very nice on the hand. It's an 18 gauge, so you have a lot of sensitivity of the touch because it's a thinner glove, but the TPR on the top of the glove is thinner, and it bends so nicely when you're wearing the glove, and it doesn't stick up very high. So this is excellent for someone who maybe is in any type of machinery and they're having to get into small places. They still need that protection on the top of their hand. This is an outstanding glove to have for that. There's also, in this case, 2 other gloves in this line, which give you different cut-resistant ratings on these. We have an A2. We have 2 other options that go up higher that are very similar with that really thin TPR on top. And then you can also get into the very rugged gloves over here on the right. I'm showing you a winter version. This glove, the 7738, is the winter version of a extremely popular glove that we sell, the 7739. This is going to have a nitrile palm on it, and it's got some heavy duty TPR on it. One thing that you will find with the Cordova Safety Products is our purchasing department probably hates us, in the sense we always give them a hard time that we demand that these gloves fit and feel comfortable on your hand, regardless what the style of the glove is. So we go back and forth, and a lot of time and dedication goes into making the glove exactly what we feel like it should be if we were wearing the glove and doing the work ourselves. And so with that, you do have to take in mind that these are pictures, and you're going to need to try on gloves and test them in the marketplace, because anybody can make something look pretty on the website. They can spin the pictures. When you go on somebody's site, it looks gorgeous and it looks like, oh, that would be the greatest glove, and it seems to hit all the points that you're looking for. But you really need to test these gloves to make sure it's going to work for your application. And the best thing to do that I would advise is, like, we have a sampling program You could reach out to your Conney safety sales rep or customer service or inside sales, whoever that you deal with on a daily basis, and work with them, and we'll find out exactly, what the application is to determine what coating that we think you need on your glove for that, and then the severity of how much risk they are as far as getting cut. And by choosing all that, then we can narrow it down to 2 or 3 styles to start with. Then I can send you out like 3 samples of each of the styles, and you can test it in the plant. I would never recommend having somebody test just 1 pair of gloves, because if you give that one person all the power, it may go to their head. If you do like 3 different people, you know that you don't have to worry about it, because they can all have their own opinion and get, tell you if it really worked or not. If say the glove is successful, you pass it between 2 or 3 people. At that point, I would advise that you just order maybe 1 to 2 dozen of these gloves. The one nice thing about these cut-resistant gloves, more than the majority of these gloves are sold by the pair, so that's not a problem for testing. And so that way, Conney could send you an order for just a small grouping of, 12 to 24 gloves and let you try it out. And at that point, then you could decide if it really is going to be the correct glove for the plant. But I cannot stress to you enough, because I've had boxes of gloves sent to me for me to cross over from people. And personally, being a glove nerd that I am, it's amazing to me when I put some of them on my hand how the fit was on some of my competitors' gloves, or just gloves that are out in the market, and they weren't comfortable. And the big thing that you have to do is you have to have comfortable gloves in your hand, because the worker is going to perform better. They're going to have less hand fatigue, and they're going to be a happier person. If they're happier at work, they're going to perform better for you, which in the overall, that's what we're looking for. You need to take care of them. The yarns that are used to make the cut-resistant gloves, you're going to hear the word HPPE, or the letters HPPE, high performance polyethylene. And this right here is used in a large number of the cut-resistant gloves that are out there in the market. It was developed in 1990, so you can tell it's a newer yarn. This one is 15 times stronger than steel, where the Kevlar is 5 times stronger. So things keep developing. But when you hear about HPPE, that's what they're referring to. It's just the type of fiber that's being used in the glove. You'll also see that steel is also used. And you'll see this great picture like in the old days when you'd have the strongman at the circus or whatever. But this right here, you will have steel that's used in the glove, because it's very good as far as cut resistance is also. And also, it's a very inexpensive product to use in the glove. You also will see it referred to as glass. You also have the salt fibers that could be in the cut-resistant glove. In the glass fibers, these have come a long way, and we'll get into a little bit about the wrapping later, but a lot of times in the old days, not old days, hasn't been that long, but you would have to worry about glass not being wrapped correctly, and the more that you would use the glove, you would, with your hands and the hand motion, it would start to break, and actually you could feel the glass fibers trickling at you in your glove. So if you happen to use a glove that's doing that to you, most likely it's glass, and it was not a very good glove to begin with because the fibers were not wrapped correctly. So you're not losing your mind that you're breaking out or itching to death. But that is used, glass is used in the gloves. It's nice because it does offer you a lot of cut protection. One thing that you have to be very careful of is the amount of glass that's used. People can put a lot of glass in a glove to give you a higher cut rating, which is fine because some people are determined that they have to have an X number of cut rating on the glove, but it can also depreciate the value of the glove in the sense it's not going to wear as long if it's got too much glass in it. So that just goes back to the example I was trying to tell you. You really need to test the glove and see about their comfort, the fit, how it holds up for the application, and the life of the glove. So make sure when you're doing that you test that, and don't be fooled just because all of a sudden it's a high number. You really got to test these gloves and make sure that you're getting what's best for your application for your company. Right here, the engineered fibers, you'll see all these beautiful colors. This is just showing you, it's a lot of technology that goes into making these yarns. I mean, to the human eye, it looks like no big deal. These things are so thin and so tiny, and even the glass fibers that you see, it's actually sort of hard to see when you're looking at it on a roll because it's so thin. But they will take these in different fibers and they wrap them with protective yarns to go around it, and that's how they get the yarns that we use in the cut resistant gloves. I sort of mentioned that you're seeing a lot of leather being replaced, and that is something, for Americans that are, we're all very proud of leather palms and leather driver's gloves, taking over and moving into the high performance gloves. But you do find that leather, obviously, like I showed you, still has its place for abrasion protection. But the nice thing that you get with cut resistant gloves, you get that dexterity, and you don't have to worry about as many sewing errors or issues that you might have and experience with a glove, because it is going to be in a sewing process off of a machine. But you do get a lot of people who are flipping from the leather palm world into the cut resistant glove. And traditionally, this has been more stable as far as the raw materials. Right now in 2020, nothing is really stable anymore, unfortunately, as we all know. But traditionally, you have more stability as far as the price is concerned with the cut resistant glove. Some of the advantages of using the cut resistant gloves, you'll notice that this is just the shell of one, and they are made on machinery, so you're going to have less chance of errors made in the gloves, and also it's easier to do the QC on it to pull out the bad product in case there's a problem. You do have low linting, which is very important. You're seeing a lot more touch screen capabilities going into the gloves, which is working because you need that in the plants for the machinery, and then also your employees are going out their phone, hopefully just when they're on break, so keep everybody safe. You do have a tremendous number of options, these were like extra small to 2XL in your cut resistant gloves. So it gives you a lot of flexibility as far as the shell, but you will just have this basic shell to work with, and you'll notice it can offer you a lot of comfort and dexterity, which is extremely important in the workplace. The advantage is also, you'll see like the leather palm up here, that's just a flat glove and it forms to your hand. And don't get me wrong, I love leather. I think it's a great product, but you do have some great advantages because these cut resistant gloves they're made on formers, and they can be pre-curved fingers, so it's going to fit on your hand. It also resists liquids. You have a lot of sensitivity, and you do have the options of different types of coating, so that way you're ready for whatever the job you needed to perform. This right here just sort of gives you an idea of what the knitting machine looks like up in the top right-hand side. And this right here is a coating process. So they'll take the glove once it's been knitted, and they'll do a palm dip in this case, where they just dip the glove when it comes up over the top of your hand a little bit, and that's going to be a palm coat. So the majority of your fingers are going to be open and exposed to the elements. And you can get that in a 3/4 sack or a fully coated, depending on the application that you need. This right here just gives you an overview of all the different types of companies and industries that you need to use cut-resistant gloves for. But like I mentioned, you are seeing a lot of people move from leather bombs into cut-resistant gloves. You're also seeing people move out of your string knits, your cotton, and your canvas gloves just because of the price points are now, extremely low on some of these cut-resistant gloves, but you just get so much more value out of it because your customer is, or your actual worker is going to be able to use these gloves and feel confident, and also it offers comfort, and they're going to do a better job for you. And you can use this in all types of applications. When you get into the ratings, we're just going to touch on this. I'm sure the majority of you are familiar with this anyway, but the European standard, or what we always traditionally had used until a number of years ago, and now you hardly ever get asked about the European standards, but I just want to let you know it's abrasion, cut, tear, and puncture. So your second number after this code right here really is the number. This is going to be a 5. It's going to tell you it's a CE5 rating. And now they've added another one, which is going to be the 5th, and that is going to now be how they're testing the TCR. So what we're commonly using now in the U.S. is going to be the ANSI Standards, and it used to be you had from a 1 to a 5. That's been expanded now all the way to a 9. And so the big rush can sometimes be the higher the number, the greater the glove. And, and it's easy to think like that. But I really want you to consider, do you need a 9 when in A2 you had no cut issues or any hand problems in your plant? So don't think you just need a higher number because it's there. You need to really evaluate whether that is the best for your application and for the person wearing the glove. Someone just, maybe they're pulling orders and they're using, just pulling cases or whatever, an A2 glove is perfect for that. And also they have that protection for if anything were to splinter or whatever, they'll have protection from what they're working with. Really, the A4 gloves tend to do everything that you could want. The price points on those, especially in that machinist line, which I was discussing, you can tell that's my favorite. That one right there, just the comfort and the options that you have of 5 different styles of coatings, but just the comfort of the glove and how long it will wear and the price point makes it an excellent, outstanding glove for you to use when you're dealing with that. There's nothing wrong with having higher cut gloves, and they have definitely improved. It used to be if you would have an A9 on your hand, you could barely move your fingers. Things are improving where you could get a 6 or a 7, and you're going to have the flexibility. So all of that is improving. It will continue to improve. But just keep in mind that you don't have to have a higher number unless it's mandated by the at the construction site or the corporation itself, because traditionally the higher you go, the little higher in price it's going to be. So if you think value and think what's going to take care of the worker, pay attention to how it performs on the job site. This right here just gives you sort of a little test. Do not ever pull out a knife or your pocket knife or a blade and have the glove on and start holding it down and swiping it. You can take a cut resistant glove and hold it on the table and you can cut it. That is very possible. So if somebody ever goes, well, that's not cut resistant. Well, it is cut resistant because it wasn't made to be held down where the fibers can't move. It's going to be on your hand. And the way that your hand will move and hit the blade, it's going to roll, and it's also designed to roll off of those fabrics. So just be safe and don't ever, hold it tight and then try to cut it to try to prove to your friends. So also I wanted to touch on cut resistant sleeves. Don't forget that. You do need that arm protection. The 2 that I highlighted here, the one on the right-hand side in the black, I also offer that in black and natural and different lengths. And you'll see this is a 2-inch gusset in that red, and then I also offer a 4-inch gusset. So that just depends on the different arm sizes of the people working, and it's notated by blue for a 4-inch, so that way you can find it in the plant. This is just nylon, but it's strong enough to give you an A2 rating. It's very comfortable, and it gives you, it's not a very tight fitting sleeve, but it gives you a nice protection, especially if all you're having to worry about is just brushing up against something. This other one over here is Aramid in glass, the 3088T. When I've done a lot of plant evaluations, one thing that I'll notice is that you go through, and it's so disappointing to see how many people will wear a sleeve because it is mandated, but they've got it pushed down on their wrist. Well, you and I both know that that is not protecting the worker, and that is not what the company policy is or what the standards or what it was designed for. So you are going to have accidents. The nice thing about this line, the Power Core line, and it does resemble like a Kevlar sleeve, it's only a single ply, where a Kevlar sleeve, you're going to need a 2-ply to get this cut rating. And so, you know, traditionally it's hot in the plant. When you get the single ply on, it's going to be much cooler to wear. And so I have found that people have a tendency to wear it correctly and more often if they're using this glove, this sleeve, as opposed to a 2-ply, and you get that protection that you need. So just something to consider. There are different types of sleeves, and depending on the application, you may have to have a higher cut protection rated sleeve, but traditionally this is what normally will take care of most of your applications in a plant setting or even on a construction site. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention too. You can look at our full line of products on our website at cordovasafety.com. And I appreciate your time today, and hopefully it's been of some value and benefit to you. Have a good day.